wherever you happen to be sitting. We're going to start off today's practice with breathing. So just letting your hands rest on your lap and your eyes closed. We're just going to take a few breaths, inhaling and exhaling, not really forcing the breath down or pushing the air out, but just trying to observe what happens to your physical body as you take in a breath. Maybe you start to notice how your neck kind of expands a little bit when you take in a breath, or how your shoulders soften when you exhale. Maybe observe how long an inhale takes, or if there's any pause before you begin exhaling. Maybe you notice a sound that accompanies your breath on the inhale or the exhale. And it's in the process of bringing your attention to all of these little observations with something as ordinary as breathing that would bring your mind into your body's time, which is always in the present. So then bring a little bit more intention into your breath. So as you inhale, your spine gets a little bit taller, and then as you exhale, you tuck your belly button into your spine and up to your heart. You can use your full breathing mechanism, just kind of observing how that changes the breath and how it changes your posture. Monkey movement with the breath. We're going to inhale, reaching both hands up over your head. And then exhale, reaching your fingers out to the sides and trying to meter your breath until your lungs are empty by the time your fingers find the floor. And then pushing out all the air at the bottom so you're totally empty. And then inhale, reaching both hands back up towards the sky. And when you get to the top, sip in a little bit of air. And then again, exhale, long, slow exhale until your fingers find the floor again. Pushing out all the air at the bottom, maybe making horse lips. Inhale, raising both hands back up towards the sky. Sipping in a little bit of air at the top. And then exhale, folding over at the waist, we're going to fold down into an easy forward fold. Wherever you're sitting, letting your hands find the floor and letting your forehead drop down as close towards the ground as feels realistically possible. And then taking in a deep breath here and saying like, oh, isn't that cool? The breath kind of stretches out my lower back when I take in a deep breath. At your own pace, we're going to walk both hands over to the right side, just about as far as feels comfortable. So you can kind of drape your heart over your right thigh, taking a deep breath with a long exhale, softening your body over your right leg. Letting your forehead drop down towards your knee. And slowly walking both hands over to the left side, just moving at your own pace. Maybe observing if one side feels different than the other. Taking a deep breath with a long exhale, softening over your left leg. Two breaths here. Then slowly coming back towards center one last time. Walking your fingertips forwards, maybe just a hair further. If you have any thoughts that are still nagging in your brain, you can drop them off down on the mat. Maybe they'll find the inclination to walk away. And then slowly push yourself all the way back up. And we'll make your way onto your hands and knees, taking your time to get there. So Charlie, while we're in this pose, you're still going to do this and this, just extending one leg out after the other, one arm up over your head while you're in the chair. So everyone else, while you're on all fours, we're going to push your heart away from the floor and then look straight down towards the floor and tuck your belly button into your spine. Reaching your right arm out in front of you, so your right bicep is in line with your right ear. You're going to push your left heel straight back behind you. So you're making like a long lightning bolt type shape with your body. Taking a deep breath. And then on the exhale, connect elbow to knee under your body. And then inhale to extend, reaching out. Exhale to connect under your body. Inhale to extend, pushing out through your heel and your fingertips. One more time to connect. One more time, reaching out. And coming back onto all fours. Taking a moment to resettle. Again, pushing your heart away from the floor so your shoulder is strong and engaged. And then reaching your left arm out in front of you. And taking your gaze straight down to the floor. And pushing your right heel straight back behind you. Really trying to create that length so your core gets tight. On the exhale, connect elbow to knee under your body. And then inhale, extend, reaching out as far as you can. Exhale to connect. Inhale to extend. One more time, making the connection. One more time, extending. And coming back onto all fours. Bringing your knees out to either side of the mat with your big toes touching, we're going to come all the way back into child's pose. So resting your bum down on your heels and walking your fingertips out in front of you, but it's going to be kind of an active child's pose. So pressing your fingertips into the mat so you're gently driving your bum down towards your heels and letting your forehead rest on the floor. Little bug was on my mat. And then curling under your toes, we'll come into first downward dog of the class. So for the first downward dog, we're going to kind of take stock of your body, so maybe pedaling one heel after the other. Maybe creating, looking underneath one armpit, the other. You can shake your head, you can wiggle your toes, you can wiggle your nose. You can do pretty much whatever you want in this pose. You're just trying to wake up your body, kind of feel what feels tight, what feels strong. If you want to create a little salsa dance in your hips, that's kind of cool. People really don't do that. And then slowly walking your feet to your hands. We're all going to find ourselves in an easy forward fold. Letting your head and your arms relax down. You can give a little swish with your hands, a little swish with your butt, shake your head again. And because we're all doing yoga at home alone, anytime you want to do horse sounds, you can go for it. Believe it or not, that's actually deep yogi practice. And then bending at the knees, so you scoop your tailbone under your body. We'll curl one vertebrae at a time, all the way up to standing. Inhale, reaching both hands up over your head. And then exhale, glitter fingers down by the sides. Sparkle, glitter, sunshine, magic. Cool. Inhale, raising both hands up, and grabbing onto a giant golden orb of happiness. And this is your ball of joy. So squeeze onto it tight because you don't want to lose it. You're going to extend it towards one side of the room, reaching out as far as you can so you feel that stretch across your rib cage. On an exhale, coming back up to center and floating over in the opposite direction. And create that length. Back up towards center, opening up your heart to limitless possibilities of a Wednesday. And then exhale to fold down into your forward fold again. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your back and extending your head towards the front of the room. And then exhale, we're going to walk yourself out into your plank. So for the first chaturanga, we're going to lower down your knees. Keep your elbows tight into your sides and lower down chest and chin all the way onto the mat. That's one variation for chaturangas that you can always do. And then from here, coming into baby cobra, so raising your heart off the floor, keeping your elbows tight into your sides and drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. So your hands could come up off the mat here if they wanted to. That's how strong your back is. But your hands are just giving you a little bit of support there. And then pushing out for your hands and knees all the way back into child's pose. Lengthening out through your spine. And then curling under your toes to come into your downward facing dog. This time holding the downward dog with a little bit more intention. So a little bit less dancing, a little bit less swishing around. But keeping your fingertips pressing firmly into the mat. And trying to create length along your spine so your tailbone is reaching up towards the ceiling. And at the same time, you're pushing your heels down to the floor behind you. Inhale deeply and exhale completely. And as you exhale, you just kind of let your head hang down heavier. 2 more breaths here. And then looking in between your hands, stepping your right foot forwards, followed by your left. Back into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your back. Exhale, fold down a little bit deeper. And then inhale, coming all the way up to standing, raising both arms up to the sky. And glitter fingers down by the sides. And this is happy yoga glitter, not horrible microplastic glitter. Inhale, raising both hands up again, grabbing onto that giant golden orb of joy. That's yours. And then extend it towards one side of the room. And you're squeezing out of it, so your arms are kind of engaged. As you extend it towards one side, and then on the exhale, squeeze from your obliques, the side of your body. Extend it over to the other side. Coming back up to center. One more time, opening up your heart to a gentle back bend. And then exhale to fold down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your back, and then exhale, stepping your right foot back, followed by your left. And we'll prepare for chaturanga. So you can either lower knees, chest, chin again, or you can take full high to low push-up chaturanga, still keeping your elbows tight into your sides. You can come into baby cobra or upward facing dog. You pull your shoulder blades back together and your heart gets to look up towards the ceiling. And then curl over your toes into your downward dog. Again, holding it with intention. So as we hold here and start to create a little bit of warmth in your shoulders, warmth in your legs, just kind of breathing and taking stock. You're pushing your heels back down to the floor behind you and the backs of your knees to the wall behind you. 2 more breaths here. Looking in between your hands, stepping your left foot forwards, followed by your right. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head. Exhale to fold down a little bit deeper. And inhale, coming all the way up to standing. One last time, grabbing onto that big old ball of joy. Extending it towards one side of the room. Extend it towards the other side of the room. And floating back up towards center into a gentle back bend. And then exhale to fold down into forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head. Exhale, stepping your left foot back, followed by your right. And taking whichever form of chaturanga you prefer, knees, chest, chin, or high to low push-up. Inhale into baby cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale into your downward dog. Cool. From here, we're going to keep your fingertips pressing firmly into the floor and raise your right heel straight back up behind you towards the ceiling, pretty much as high as you can. If you feel like it, you can open up at the hips and drop your right heel down towards your bum to kind of open up your hip flexor. And then we'll step your right foot through in between your hands for a low lunge. And pausing there for a moment, just giving a little rock front and back. Opening up your left hip flexor. If this feels like brutal tight, you can drop your back knee down and come up onto a knee. But in general, we want to try and keep that back leg really straight. Take a look over one shoulder so you can see the world behind you. Take a look over your other shoulder. Coast is clear, nobody snuck in. We'll drop your back heel down at about a 45-degree angle. And then float up into warrior one. Raising both hands up over your head and squaring off your hips towards the front of the room. So with your right hip pulling back and your left hip drawing forwards, we're going to raise those pinkies up towards the ceiling and then bend that right knee forwards. Cool. As you inhale, you get really long through your spine, and then as you exhale, you tuck your belly button into your spine. Like as if you're at the beach and you want to show off, like that. 2 more breaths. And then opening up into your warrior 2, reaching both hands out in either direction. And just taking a moment to check that the heel of your front foot is in line with the arch of your back foot. And your right fingers are looking forward, and you're taking the gaze over the middle finger of your right hand, and then you sink into that right knee. Holding here for 3 more long, slow, deep breaths. Again, drawing your belly button in. That's called Uddiyana Bandha, and it's an energy point in yoga. But if you're at the beach, it's just called sucking it in. Dropping your back hand to your back leg, reaching your top arm over your head behind you, still driving that front knee forwards. And if you want to, you can wrap that left hand behind your lower back to find your right hip crease, or you can leave it on your thigh for a little bit of support. Taking your gaze up towards the ceiling, see if you can see anything interesting. 2 more breaths here. And then on an exhale, we'll bring your right elbow to your right knee. And extend your arm up towards the ceiling, and then drawing your bicep towards your ear as you reach that top hand towards the front of the room. And then rolling your left shoulder blade over your right so your heart gets to look up towards the ceiling. And while you got all this action going on in your upper body, think about your back leg staying really strong and straight and pushing into the mat. Taking your gaze down to your toes in front of you, we're going to extend your bottom arm underneath to grab onto that big old ball of joy that's always floating around you, and then extend it up to the ceiling and towards the back of the room. Reach it towards the front of the room as far forwards as you can. 1 more time up into the back of the room. And then cartwheeling both hands down either side of your front foot back into your lunge. Walk yourself out into your plank. And take whichever form of chaturanga you prefer. Knees, chest, chin, or high to low push-up. Come into your baby cobra or upward facing dog. And then curl over your toes into your downward dog. I'm just pausing here for a moment, pedaling one heel after the other, and just see if you can appreciate the change that may have happened from one leg to the next after going through that little warrior sequence. And then raising your left heel all the way up behind you. And then if you feel like it, you can open up at that left hip, drop your left heel down towards your bum. And then stepping that left foot through in between your hands for a low lunge. Pausing there for a moment and finding whichever lunge is right for you. So maybe like you need to drop the knee down on one side more than the other. Maybe this side just feels like loosey-goosey. It's all good. We're trying to open up that right hip flexor here. So take a look over one shoulder. Check out the world behind you. Take a look over the other. Coast is still clear. Let's drop your back heel down to the mat, about a 45-degree angle. And then floating up into your warrior 1. Inhaling, raising both hands up over your head. Pressing the outside edge of your back foot into the mat as you drive your left knee forwards. And try and square off your hips towards the front of the room. As you inhale, your pinkies reach up a little bit higher. As you exhale, you sink your shoulders down away from your ears. Nice, Charlie. Keep trying to maintain that length through your hands. Good. So you're reaching all the way up and then drawing your shoulder blades back together like your heart's trying to pump out of your chest and you're just so happy to be alive on a Wednesday. Yeah, like that. Opening up into your warrior 2, reaching both hands out in either direction. Just taking a moment to see that the heel of your front foot is in line with the arch of your back foot. And then taking the gaze over your left middle finger and driving your left knee forwards. As you inhale, you get nice and tall. As you exhale, just keep reaching out further and further and further so your shoulders naturally drop away from your ears. Dropping your back hand to your back leg, reaching your top arm over your head behind you as you drive that left knee forwards a little bit deeper to open up your left rib cage. And then if you want to, you can wrap your right arm behind your lower back to find that hip crease. Or you can leave that right hand there for support. They're both good. 2 more breaths here. And then on an exhale, we'll bring your left elbow to your left knee. Keeping that shoulder strong and engaged, reach your right arm up over your head and extend your right arm towards the front of the room. And then rolling your right shoulder blade over the left so your heart gets to look up towards the ceiling. We'll hold here for 2 more long, slow, deep breaths. And keeping that front leg really strong. You're going to reach your bottom arm underneath, grab onto your big golden orb of joy, extend it up into the ceiling towards the back of the room. Reach it towards the front of the room, extending it as far as you can. One more time up into the back of the room. And then cartwheeling both hands down, either side of your front foot. Walk yourself out into your plank and chaturanga, whichever form you prefer. Inhale into upward dog or baby cobra. And then curl over your toes into downward dog. Again, just taking a moment in the downward dog to appreciate the difference from one side to the other after doing that little warrior sequence. And then looking in between your hands, you can walk or jump forwards back into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head. Exhale, fold down a little bit deeper. And then inhale, coming all the way up to standing, raising both hands up over your head. And exhale, hands down by your sides. So from here, we're going to take a really wide stance on your mat, extending out your legs just about as far as feels realistic. And if you bring your hands to your hips, you can find a little bone there, your hip bone. It's called your iliac crest. Love that bone. Once you find that bone with your fingers, you're going to draw your elbows back towards each other so your heart is kind of puffing forwards. Inhale to look up, and then exhale, hinging forward where your fingers are, all the way down into a wide angle forward fold. Once you're hanging down, you're like, I'm awesome. You can release your hands, bring your fingers in line with your toes, and eventually try and bring the crown of your head down to the floor in between your legs. Inhale deeply and exhale completely. And as you exhale, you just kind of let your upper body be as heavy as it can be to come down into the forward fold. Slowly, we're going to walk both hands all the way over towards your right leg. Grab onto that right shin, right ankle. You can massage into the leg and say something nice to your foot, like, thank you for getting me from point A to point B all these years. Even though you look a little funny, I love you. And then we're going to plant your left hand down onto that right ankle. So you're crossing over, and then reaching your right arm out to the side. We're going to roll open through your right shoulder into a spinal twist. As you inhale, your spine gets longer. As you exhale, you twist just a little bit deeper and taking the gaze up towards those right fingertips. If you want to give a peace sign here, it's always good to shut out a little bit of peace into the world. On an exhale, bring that right hand down. We'll slowly walk both hands all the way over towards your left leg. Massaging into the muscles of your left shin, your left ankle. Say something nice to your left foot. Like, sorry, I always talk to you second, but you're more valuable than the first, or something like that. I love your nails. And then anchoring that foot down with your right hand, reaching your left arm out to the side, and then rolling open through the shoulder. So your left arm goes up towards the ceiling, and taking your gaze up towards your left fingertips. As you inhale, your spine gets longer. As you exhale, you twist just a little bit deeper. Two more breaths here. Then on an exhale, bring that left hand down, walking both hands back to the middle. One last time, shaking out your head, No, if you want to do horse lips again. Then we'll draw your hands to your waist. Bring your elbows back towards each other and leading with the heart to float all the way back up to standing. Cool. Once you find yourself in this position, we're going to point your right toes towards the front of the mat. So your right heel is in line with the arch of your left foot. From here, we're going to reach both hands out to either side. Drop your shoulders down away from your ears. Then we're going to reach your right fingertips forwards as far as you can until you naturally fold at the waist to come down into triangle pose. So you can either let your right hand rest on your shin or knee or wherever it lands, and then rolling that left shoulder blade over the right. Imagine you're tucked in between two panes of glass. As you inhale, again, your spine gets longer, so the crown of your head is extending towards the front of the room. And then as you exhale, see if you can just go a hair deeper, all the while staying super safe with yourself and listening to your body. And if you can manage it, take the gaze up towards the ceiling. Two more breaths here. On the exhale, squeeze from the obliques, staying strong in your back. Both hands come out to the sides. We're going to parallel your feet and point your left toes towards the back of the room. Same thing on the other side. Extending those left fingertips forwards just about as far as you can until you naturally fold over at the waist and come down to let your left hand rest on your left shin or just inside and reaching your right fingertips up towards the ceiling, rolling your right shoulder blade over the left. It's called triangle pose. Again, just trying to take the gaze up towards the ceiling. As you inhale, you're creating space, and then as you exhale, you can fill that space with the stretch. We'll hold here for two more breaths. Then on the exhale, squeeze from the obliques to float back up. Bring your hands to your hips and come back to standing, front and center on your mat. Beautiful, everyone. You did very, very well. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. And then exhale to fold down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening along your back. And then exhale to walk yourself out into your plank and just pausing at the high plank for a moment. And pushing out through the heels and the crown of your head. Imagine, what if I had to hold this for another 10 minutes? I know, we're not going to. Don't worry about it. From here, we're just going to curl over your toes. That was like a mean yoga joke. As you come into downward dog. From here, we're going to raise your left heel all the way up behind you. And then float your left knee to your left elbow, hovering above the ground for a moment, trying to make that connection. Send your right leg straight back up behind you. Bring your right knee to your left elbow, crossing under your midline. And send it straight back up behind you. And then bring your knee to your nose. Try and actually kiss your kneecap. Send it straight back up behind you. And then folding your right leg through into pigeon pose. So pigeon pose is where your right knee is kind of behind your right wrist. Right ankle is kind of behind your left wrist. And then you wiggle your left leg back so your hips get down close to the floor. If you have a lot of space here, you can always stuff a pillow underneath your right thigh. A little bit of support. But if not, I think that's awesome. Inhale, lengthen through your spine, so getting really tall. And then exhale to walk yourself down. Let your forehead rest on either the floor, or you can stack your hands. And we'll just stay here and breathe for a few breaths. And this is one of those poses where doing less is actually more. So just trying to soften through your body with each exhaling breath and just seeing how heavy you can let your limbs be and how heavy you can let your torso be. See if you can visualize the muscles that are tight, providing resistance, and visualize them melting. Stay here for two more long, slow, deep breaths. And whenever you're ready, slowly going to push yourself back up. Take a look over one shoulder. Gentle spinal twist. Take a look over the other shoulder. Coast is clear. And slowly make your way all the way back into your downward dog. So curling under your back toes, walking that knee forwards, and slowly coming all the way back into this position. Pedaling out one heel after the other. And just feeling the difference in your hips from that little pigeon sequence. Finding stillness, we're going to extend your left heel straight back up behind you. Loading your left knee to your left elbow, hovering above the ground. Send it straight back up behind you. Bring your left knee to your right elbow, crossing under your midline. Send it straight back up behind you. Then bring your knee to your nose. Try and kiss your kneecap. Send it straight back up behind you. And then folding your left leg through into pigeon pose. So again, left knee is kind of behind your left wrist. Left ankle is trying to get behind your right wrist. It's trying. And then wiggle your right foot back behind you so your hips get down close to the floor. Once you find your position, inhale, lengthen out through your spine, and then exhale to walk yourself down. So let your forehead rest on the floor or your hands or a book, anything really. You just want to try and let your upper body be as heavy as it can be. And use that exhaling breath to kind of soften through your body. We'll hold here for 2 more breaths. And then whenever you're ready, slowly pushing yourself back up, taking your time to get there. Pausing for a moment at the top, take a look over one shoulder. Gentle spinal twist. Look over the other shoulder. Everything is still good. So we're going to roll over onto your left bum cheek and bring your right leg all the way around in front of you. So we're sitting on the front edge of your mat. And moving the muscle out of the way from under your bum so you can find those sits bones firmly down. You can like rub your butt into the floor. And then pushing your heels away from you so the backs of your knees are going down into the mat. You're going to inhale, reaching both hands up over your head, and then exhale to birdcage your feet. And let your forehead drop down towards your knees. And if you can't quite reach your feet, it's cool. Just tuck your hands underneath your calves, and then gently pull your heart forwards and let your forehead drop down. With each breath you take in, you're kind of filling up a little bit of space in your torso. And then you can exhale to let your upper body be a little bit heavier. So again, it isn't like, how hard can I stretch? It's, how much can I let go? Two more breaths here. And reaching out past your toes and floating all the way back up. And then exhale, hands down by your sides. You're going to tuck both feet in towards each other. So the soles of your feet are touching, and you kind of walk your bum towards your heels, pretty much as close as you can get. Take a moment to flap those butterfly wings. Rock them side to side. Open up your feet, like as if you're reading a book. It's like a really stinky book. Ugh. But you just got to get a closer whiff. So clasp your toes with your hands. Inhale, lengthen through your spine, and then exhale, drawing your elbows out to the sides and bring your forehead and your nose down towards your toes. So you can make a better connection with those little digits. Woo. And once you're in this position, again, concentrating on that breath that we've been talking about all class. So inhaling deeply and just seeing how that changes the stretch. Whenever you're ready to come out, we're going to lead with the heart to float all the way back up. And we'll draw your knees together. You can hook your hands underneath your knees here, under your thighs, and we're going to try and rock up on your tailbone. Charlie, you can go for this one, just putting your hands under your legs and just trying to lift your feet up off the floor. What else? We're going to try and create length through your body. Imagine someone is pulling you from a string, so your heart's pulling up towards the ceiling. And then from here, we're going to straighten out your legs as straight as they can be. And then release your hands, so you're just putting them on either side of your knees. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. And then exhale to float very slowly back down onto your back on the mat. Cool. I'm just going to change my positioning a little bit, so y'all don't have to look at my butt. Okay, so hugging both knees into your chest. Giving yourself a little rock side to side. You're going to grab onto your ankles and plant your heels down on the floor. So your heels are just about as close to your bum as they can be. You can touch those heels with your fingertips. Once you're in this position, we're going to push off your heels, raising your hips as high up towards the ceiling as you can. And try and keep your knees in line with your hips. If this feels good, you want to put a pillow under your hips, relax for a little bit of sacral release. That's awesome. You want to take it a step further. You're going to interlace your fingers and walk your elbows and your triceps towards each other. So you stack your body up off the floor as you gently try to pull your knuckles down towards your heels. We'll stay here for 5 breaths total, so about 3 more to go. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. Whenever you're ready to release, slowly coming all the way out. And hugging both knees into your chest again. Get a little rock side to side. And then straightening out your right leg along the floor, pushing your right heel far away from you. With your right hand, we're going to pull your left knee across your body into a spinal twist as you reach your left arm out to the side. Again, just inhaling and exhaling. And just seeing how heavy you can let your limbs be on the exhale. Slowly making your way onto your back, hugging both knees into your chest. Taking a moment to resettle. And then straightening out your left leg along the floor. With your left hand pulling your right knee across your body, reaching your right arm out to the side. Spinal twist on the other side. And just trying to let your body be as heavy as it can be on each exhale. Slowly making your way onto your back again. Last time, giving yourself a little cuddle, more rock side to side. And then tucking your forehead up into your knees, making your body like a little itty bitty C. And then straightening out your arms and legs into your Shavasana pose. Shavasana, just letting your feet splay out open to the sides, letting your arms rest heavy and your eyes closed. We'll take the next few minutes to rest in stillness and silence as you're taking the full effects of your yoga practice. And slowly wiggling your fingers and your toes, bring movement back into your body. At your own pace, draw your knees into your chest. Roll over onto your side. And push yourself up into a comfortable sitting position. With your hands resting on your lap and your eyes closed, we find ourselves how we began today's practice. And just taking a moment to observe your breath again and feeling any changes that may have happened over the last hour in the depth of your breath, or the quality of your breath. And taking a moment to send out a silent message of love and peace and healing to everybody out there who could use it today. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. Exhale your hands into a prayer in front of your heart. We'll close with a heartfelt namaste. Namaste, everybody. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today. Now I'll unmute you.